And this is to go even further beyond the problems of this form and provide a solution! Hey guys, MasakoX here. Now, not too long ago, one of you guys asked me about my stance on Super Saiyan 3 and what we would do to try and fix it. Well, okay, that is easy, and something we're going to talk about right now. So, what would we do? We would add eyebrows. So what do you guys think? Is Super Saiyan 3 your favourite transformation? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. Ha! Got you there. Okay, let's get real with you all here. In all seriousness, Super Saiyan 3 has been a butt of our jokes for quite some time. In fact, if you have been here since the beginning of this channel, this video I made back in October 2016 was the video that caused the algorithm to look at me and go, yes, people need to hear about this. So you see, even the computers don't like Super Saiyan 3 all that much and want people to know about it. So thank you, YouTube. You have shown me that you don't like it either. As do the writers of Super, apparently, because you barely see it. While we are fully aware that a lot of you guys out there really do love this form, I can see why you would, but from a purely factual and personal point of view, we still consider it kinda silly. Not the worst thing out there, but one of the silliest. But there is no denying that it could have potential, if it was corrected a bit. Now come on, it's a type of Super Saiyan, of course it's going to have potential attached to it. It's in the name, it's one of those iconic transformations ever. There is hope for this form yet. It's just a shame that even the likes of the creator of the show sometimes get Super Saiyans 2 and 3 mixed up with each other, and so therefore chooses to run roughshod over both forms. You know, that's fair. We mainly these days go from Super Saiyan 1 to Blue. What happened to 2 and 3? I keep on forgetting things. If I don't forget stuff, new ideas won't come to mind. For example, you know how there's Super Saiyan 3? I didn't know that. The whole time I thought that was Super Saiyan 2. I thought 2 was the one with the long hair. It was like, man, I've really forgotten stuff. For the longest time, we were looking for categorical proof that would show ourselves as well as you that Toriyama always intended Super Saiyan 3 to be a form of a self-aware joke. We were trying to reveal whether this form was mainly yet another case of his classic subversion tactics to simply convey the ultimate Super Saiyan form, at least for the time, with a slightly ridiculous, overly complicated design and overblown properties and powers in relation to what had gone before it. But at the end of the day, we found nothing. The only thing we could possibly attribute to this form is that Toriyama was allowed practically free rein to do what he wanted, just so long as he kept making manga for the bigwigs upstairs, and therefore, they would keep making money. Picture this. If Toriyama had the same editor from his early days, would Super Saiyan 3 even exist as we know it? Probably not. We would have to ask Kazuhiko Torishima, that same editor, that question one of these days. But then at the same time, if Toriyama wasn't allowed to do what he wanted to do, then we probably wouldn't even have a Buu saga. Ultimately though, we need to also consider the time period that this form was conceptualized in. This was the 90s after all. Everything was extreme and over the top. Things had to be loud and in your face and simply blow your socks off before you were even aware of what was going on, or even if you were wearing any socks. Quite frankly, if this was designed today, we would probably treat this design as a joke from the very start. Like how we were with Super Saiyan Blue when the rumoured first images were shown back in 2015. We couldn't take it seriously. But then, with Toriyama, we now really think he meant for this to be the genuinely ultimate form of the conventional Super Saiyan tree. The most any regular Saiyan could ever hope to attain, throughout any kind of means. But wait, Goku was in the other world when he discovered it. Had he not been, would his physical body even be able to reach it in his lifetime? So clearly, Toriyama still didn't plan much in advance in regards to it. In fact, at some point, he even planned for it to have a tail, so it does show that he didn't entirely forget about those iconic tails, you know, even though he was the one that instigated the removal of said tails, because they were a pain to draw as well as animate, you know, the hole in Goku's trousers. Was it there? Was it not? How does it work? Oh, Toriyama, you're so lazy sometimes. What's also going against Super Saiyan 3's case for modern day relevance is the notion that when even your own author is credited by saying that Super Saiyan 2 and 3 are nothing more than powered up variants of Super Saiyan after already forgetting about them, and that mastering Super Saiyan 1 alone could increase its potential power beyond that of Super Saiyan 2 and 3, whilst draining less energy at the same time, you start to ask yourself, why exactly do we need that form in the first place? Maybe that's why we rarely see it these days. Now, we tend to see the jump from the first variant to the much stronger variants that are imbued with God Ki, with 2 and 3 only being carted out periodically for moments where fan service is the word of the day. With Super Saiyan 2 Trunks, he doesn't really look much different from his regular Super Saiyan. There's not really much going for it. The only real signifier are the sparks and the electricity emanating from him. That's pretty much it. This isn't basically saying that Super Saiyan 3 is entirely useless or it has too many problems surrounding it in terms of weaknesses to make it a viable use. A form having its fair share of weaknesses is nothing to be surprised about. The problem arises when that in the long term, the overall concept of the design doesn't really offer anything unique other than its design. If that's the real modus operandi these days, then no wonder Super Saiyan 3 gets saved for simple money shots during certain moments. It's not actually meant to be used for actual combat or anything, it's a means to intimidate or to appease the fans. Since its first appearance and the main arc that it was introduced in, we've seen just mostly flashes of it every now and again, as well as a glorified cameo of it sometimes, and the only places where it gets any kind of respect are the video games, where, thanks to the likes of Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, your own OC can be imbued with Super Saiyan 3. Which burns through your stamina with not much of a gain in overall strength and speed. It didn't help that the Buu saga added so many new things on top of this. 2 types of fusion, Ultimate Gohan, which has a much more minimalistic design, sure, but just as much of a cool factor as Super Saiyan 3, because come on, it's Gohan. And those didn't achieve much in the long run, that you really feel that this is now just a gimmick. There, I said it. Super Saiyan 3 is now basically a gimmick. Caulifla, you're not going to gain much out of this when we see her use it. We know that that's going to happen, let's be real here. Not gonna lie, this is kind of underwhelming. So what should we do with the Browless Saiyan early in the morning? Well, that's what we're going to aim to achieve with this video after having given you the bind that we are in, given the overall predicament of the form. Well, for starters, we will keep the stamina drain. This drain meant that Goku used up his time on Earth much faster than he would have done in Super Saiyan 2. As we mentioned before, this weakness is not the main problem of this form, it's the lack of a specific niche. What's the thing that makes you stand up and go, yes, this form is absolutely necessary and the only thing that will work? How can we convince Vegeta to use this power after spurning it for so many years? Technically, this form does have a specific implementation. It is meant, supposedly, for quick bursts of power before switching back to a less draining form. Much like what Vegeta's done in the manga version of Super, where he would cycle between Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue. It was a pretty clever methodology. If Goku had trained in the other world to use Super Saiyan in a similar manner, for 3, that might have helped us be in awe of it more. We would only ever see it for a split second. But then again, we all know that there are better ways to achieve this ultimately, and not to mention for the fact that if you try to power up to 3, it takes forever. We are told that Super Saiyan 3's main purpose is to increase the utilization of Ki, to further lessen the need for physical interaction and instead enhance the use of area attacks and beam blasts. We didn't really see that. We mostly witnessed Goku or Gotenks punching people harder and harder than ever before. So, in actuality, the methodology that we see in the show goes against the entire concept that is often talked about the form in various other types of media. So great. Not only is this form a gimmick, the way it's used is a walking and screaming contradiction in the anime. Oh yeah, it makes them faster. That's something, I guess. But speed is another can of worms that we don't really wish to fully open up today. A form like this should change the way we look at Ki utilization. Do what it's supposed to do. As in, infuse every action with a Ki-related effect. Why punch someone with your fist solely when you can punch them with a Ki blast from a great distance? You remember in Dragon Ball GT how Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta could just glare at Omega Shenron and it caused him to be struck as if he was punched in the face directly point blank? Goku would just have to aim a punch in the direction of his opponent and the ki would travel at the speed of light and connect with them. If Goku was in close quarters, the effect would be impossible to miss. At this point, there should be a little difference between a ki projectile and a slap in the face from a Saiyan transformed in Super Saiyan 3. You are a boiling hot rocket, much like Jiren's burning Ultimate Warrior power-up, that we see in Super, but sleeker and more speed-based. But why go that way, Masako? This way, we see that this force is burning and overwhelming the user, but at the same time, we are also aware of its destructive properties. It's like Kaioken in a way. This power is causing a lot of strain on the user, but at the same time, the results speak for themselves, as well as them looking oh so flashy and striking for the telly. This will shatter any defenses that your opponent has. This then gives the transformation a whole new means of using it. It gives it a use case and the justification of learning it altogether. We could then see the usage of this new version of Super Saiyan 3 as a juggernaut, a battering ram, as something that could actually result in any opponents that specialize in regeneration, such as Majin Buu or Perfect Cell, not be able to regenerate fast enough. Those attacks would leave a mark that would take much longer to recover from. That should send a signal to any of the viewers or readers that you cannot simply regenerate that and be okay again lickety-split. You are going to have to dodge the attacks and counter them instead of just taking the hits like regenerative combatants do. Due to the form's initial connection to the other world or going beyond oneself, fusion, this form can actually deal some damage on a spiritual level, as in, it could also harm the opponent's spirit. After all, the methods of obtaining it in the main storyline sources are unnatural. You can only attain it through extraneous circumstances or through the use of machinery if you talk about gravity training. It should be, however, stated that such actions are considered to be highly, non-sporting in the world of the Saiyans, as well as not in keeping with the overall fighting spirit of them or what is fair in the eyes of said Saiyan. That is if you're not counting Vegeta's use of the gravity chamber, and I mean copious use. Imagine a power that can hurt someone's very being, body and spirit simultaneously. So, this does sound pretty overpowered now, eh? Well, let's add some jeopardy back into the equation. So let's say that a ki rocket punch is used. What if it doesn't work? It can easily backfire if not done properly, or not mastered correctly, and then it could cause lasting injuries to one's own soul. You're basically demoralizing yourself and your resolve, and if you keep on getting it wrong, it leaves you open and ready to be countered, and thusly rendering your Super Saiyan 3 powers irrelevant. Also, we feel that the behavior that the user exhibits in this form should be more focused. Maybe not like an almost mute type of vibe, like in the case of Ultra Instinct, like there's nothing to go off, but something closer to what we've seen with Goku in the Buu saga, or maybe with Ultimate Gohan. After all, a relatively mute Gogeta in Fusion Reborn was the main reason why I love that movie. We feel that it should have an effect on Gotenks' mind as well. Maybe him being a little bit less in your face. Hey, it may mean that less people want to cover their ears whenever they hear Gotenks talk. After all, the original Super Saiyan power-up, as well as Gohan's first transformation, caused some intense psychological changes, and thusly, this would really up the appeal of this new variation of the form. Make the fighter appear more serious and distant, focused on beating their enemy, and last, but certainly not least, we would give Super Saiyan 3 at least one takedown on an enemy, not just a case of, oh, I beat them and then let them escape. Make their victory somewhat important, like against a Bora or Majin Buu. It doesn't really matter, but somehow associate this form with some kind of victory. Super Saiyan 2 wouldn't be nearly as popular as it is today if it wasn't a symbol of Gohan's triumph over Cell. And while Super Saiyan God didn't really win a fight, it had other merits that increased its appeal. So can Super Saiyan 3 have some nice things? At the end of the day, Super Saiyan 3 is still super popular given its vices, but we still cannot shake the feeling that nowadays it's used mostly to sell merchandise and give us a quick flash of nostalgia. Like it's waving this power in our faces going, hey guys, you remember this? Well good, now buy the figure / card / game that this form is in and shut up. And it's a real shame, because a form with so many dedicated fans out there deserves to be so much more. And oh yeah, we would bring back the eyebrows too, while you're at it. So what do you guys think? Do you like the tweaks that we have made to this power? What else would you modify? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!